One of the first things we need to do for our chicks is to create some little chick legs. And I do this with orange pipe cleaners. And just to make them easier to work with, I cut a normal size pipe cleaner in half. And then you're welcome to leave them fluffy the way they come. But I like my chicken legs to be a little bit scrawny. So I do that by just holding on to the pipe cleaner, taking a pair of scissors, and just trimming along the sides of the pipe cleaner. So again, you do not need to do this, but I like the way it looks. Now that I've trimmed down my pieces to make scrawnier chicken legs, I'm going to cut the pipe cleaner that I've trimmed in half, and then from that remaining half, I'm going to cut 2 more pieces. So I've got, for each leg, I'm going to have a longer piece and a shorter piece, roughly half the size of the leg. I'm going to bend the bottom part of the leg, and then I'll take this smaller piece, holding it over that little bend. I'll then twist these smaller pieces around so that I have 3 claws. Now, if your middle toe or claw is too long, you can just trim that. And there's your chicken foot. Now that we have our legs ready, let's go ahead and start putting the chick body together. We're simply going to glue this smaller pom-pom to the top of the bigger pom-pom. But before we do that, let's let our hot glue gun heat up a little bit more, and I'm going to show you how I cut the beaks. The beak is really easy. Take a small piece of felt, fold it in half, and simply cut a triangle shape so that when you open it up, it looks a little bit like a diamond. This is not perfect, but it doesn't matter. And we're going to put a little bit of glue in the middle and pinch it together. That way, when we glue this to the chick, the mouth will be closed just a little bit so that it looks like a beak, so that when you don't want to glue it on and it looks like that on the chick head. So go ahead and glue that together. And I think our glue is ready. So to put that top ball on the bottom ball, I'm just going to flatten it a little bit, put a nice blob of hot glue, and just poke that top one on there. Hold it for a few seconds, and you're ready to go. And now I'm going to take that beak that I just made, and I'll nestle a little bit of a spot where I'm going to push the beak into the pom-pom. Maybe even just do that to open it up just a little bit. I don't know if that really helped at all. Put a little bit of glue on the edge of the beak and just kind of poke it in there. It does not have to be perfect. Now, I cut up some eyes earlier using really tiny pieces of felt. They are not perfectly round, but it won't matter once you glue them on the bird. Tricky, but just do your best. And remember, if you have a glue blob on that yarn, you can trim that off. So don't worry too much about that. Okay, and we've got our eyes in place. I do have a little glue blob there, so I'm just going to trim it. Okay. And then for our legs, as you can see, I put legs on this one already, and I actually trimmed those down a little bit. I felt like maybe those legs were a little too long. So that's totally up to you. I think long legs could be fun also, but I'm going to trim these down just a little bit. And to put the legs into the chick, you're just going to put some hot glue on the end and poke it in. So again, doesn't need to be too perfect. The pom-pom is very forgiving, and smush it in there a little bit so that it grabs onto some of the yarn pieces. And then I'll do my other leg. And they can be different heights as well. If you make multiple chicks, they don't have to be the same. As you can see, this one's got shorter legs than this one. So now I've got the base of my chick ready. I'm gonna start making some accessories for it. And then the last thing I'll do is make the wings. This next part requires creativity and a little bit of patience, but it's a lot of fun. Using some of your different supplies, you can create little outfits for your chicks. So I've decided to make a girl chick and a boy chick to show you some of the different ways you can use really just scraps of stuff you might have on hand. For the girl chick, I made her a little skirt that I just used needle and thread, just did an in and out motion to gather up a piece of ribbon that I am going to glue around her waist. On the ribbon, I've attached a tiny flower with a little button in the middle, all glued together with the glue gun. So I'm just going to wrap this around her body, and I will just put a little bit of glue on this and attach that together. And I can kind of scoot it around. And now she has a little skirt. And then for her head, I used a white or any color cupcake muffin tin paper, cut it, and made a little bitty bonnet with some string. I adorned it with the same flower and button. So to put that on her, I'm just gonna kind of grab it, wrap it around her head, and then I'm gonna tie a bow under her chin. I can glue it on later, but I can also just do my best with this. It's a little awkward. It feels a little delicate, but remember you can really smush these pom-poms around, so it's okay if you're a little rough with your chick. You can fix it. So as you can see, I'm gonna move that around a little bit, and then I'll trim those strings. And if I wanted to hot glue it down just to keep it more secure, I can do that, but I don't have to. And we're gonna come back to do the wings in a few minutes. All right, and then for the boy chick, I used another cupcake paper that I happen to have, and I'm gonna make a collar for him. Now I kept a portion of the base of the cupcake paper so that it would keep the gathering of the paper together. Otherwise, it would be kind of like an accordion. So for him, I'm just going to wrap this around and glue it and trim it. Just a little bit of glue. And if I mess up, I can start over with another cupcake piece of paper, but I'm going to trim that off. I got a little glue blob there. I'm just going to gently trim that. So now he has a little collar, and for his head, I made a hat with some of the paper that I trimmed off. I just twisted it into a cone shape, put some glue on the back, and I'm just gonna pop that on his head with a little bit of glue. And then I thought for the top, I would just glue a flower from one of my little junky millinery floral pieces. So just hold all that together, and then I'll go back and trim my glue strings, tidy it up a little bit, and there I have my boy. We're finally ready to put the wings on our chicks. And to make the wings, I decided to create some wings out of felt. And I'm going to use some small pieces of pipe cleaner to give them a little bit of weight so that I can bend and shape them a little bit. You can also just use little feathers or crepe paper wings, whatever you want to do. But this is an easy way to do it. Just take a couple of pieces of felt and cut a generic little wing shape. I do mine as a pair. And then cut some small pieces of yellow or similar colored pipe cleaner. And we're just going to glue that onto the wing with a little bit hanging off the edge, because that's the part we're going to poke into the pom-pom. So make it kind of like this. Now, if you make your wings with a little ripple on the bottom like this, make sure that when you do the opposite side, it's going in the opposite direction. So I'm going to put my pipe cleaner piece on the back of this one so that it will be the opposite. Okay, so once I've got my wings ready, I am going to just put a little glue on the end and poke it into the side of the chick. So make sure you get that wavy part on heading toward the back of the chicken. And just poke it in. Actually, I think it's easier to put it onto the pipe cleaner and then poke it in. So now my wings are attached, and if you want, you can add something to the wing. Have your chick holding something. So I made a tiny bouquet for my chick, and I'm going to glue that to the underside of the wing. Just to give her something to hold. So now his wings are in place. And if for him, I thought I might give him a little Easter egg to hold, a little blue, just a little junky egg that I had on hand. Just put a little glue on his wing and attach that egg as decoration, that he's holding that egg. And my little chick couple is ready to go. I wanted to show you some of the different ways you could set out your chicks. You're always welcome to bend the legs a little bit and just set them on some Easter grass or in a flower pot or some other decor that you have. You can glue them to a wooden base that you could paint or leave natural or stain or do a whitewash, whatever you like. But you would just put hot glue on the base of the feet and press that down, and they will stay really nice and firm. Another few ideas, you could, put some Easter grass around it, put some other eggs there. But you can also use, I've got this great wooden spool with some vintage looking ribbon on it. And you could put a little bit of Easter grass on top of that, or not, and put that chick on top of the spool, which I think that's pretty cute. You can use another type of spool, sit the chick, or the chick can stand. And you could put a coordinating ribbon or yarn on this thread spool. And then, as I mentioned earlier, if you like the old Jello molds, I think that looks pretty fun with a variety of shapes and sizes out on your table. You can have several different chicks, some standing, some sitting. And again, you would just need to hot glue that onto the metal. And you could either just leave it plain like this, or again, put some Easter grass around it. So I hope that gives you some ideas. You can do anything you want with the chicks. They're really pretty sturdy. Even though they're really lightweight and they feel delicate, they're really not. They're very sturdy. So you can bend them and just get creative with how you would like to display them. So I hope you had fun and enjoy your Easter chicks.